Idealism and reality in politics are often far apart. It is ideal to expect the best, but reality is that you might get the worst. Can the president constitute a cabinet and ignore those who helped the party to win elections? Your straight answer might be a yes, but that is overly simplistic. Politics is an investment by politicians and they expect returns on investment, be it time, money, or whatever resource. Take, for instance, a coup plot. Positions are only assigned to those who participated in or facilitated the plot. Anyone outside the ringleaders might be a loyalist or a sympathizer. And whether or not we consider it relevant, this happens also in democratic governance and with different dynamics as well. Welcome to Deepening the Conversation, a weekly diary on life on politics written by Azu Ishiekwene. Our discussion today is based on Azu's interrogation of the incoming Federal Executive Council. It is titled Tinubu's List, Gbaja-nisation and Nigeria's Politics. Let's engage with Azu about politics and why he feels the way he feels about the incoming cabinet. You're welcome to the show, Mr. Azu.
Thank you. It's nice to be back here again, Julius. Thank you very much.
Yes, in your writing, you are not known to engage in rofu, if I might use that Nigerian street balance.
Rofo.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. In your headline today, you seem to be angry. Why are you angry? Would they make you vex?
Well, I am not sure. I really did not feel angry, but well, sometimes what you feel and how people decode what you feel may be different. But I thought it was important to find a way of driving the point home that we're in a very difficult place and things need to be done as much as possible. We need to do things properly.
All right. So idealism is one thing, reality is another. Can the president constitute a cabinet without considering those who helped him to win elections?
Well, good question. Those who helped him to win elections, remember that about 8.7 million people voted for the president during the elections. I do not imagine, I'm sure that neither do you, that he's going to have to indulge 8.7 million people with appointments. But I think that what most people who voted for him expected was for him to go into office and perform, not just for those who voted for him, but also to perform for the country. And I think that in respect to the specific question of those who may have helped in more concrete, specific ways, either providing money, providing logistics and all of that, party members and all of that. Yes, of course, there is a place for that. But the Constitution also sets a clear limit to the number of persons that the president can appoint into the cabinet. So that also places a constraint on the number of persons he can appoint, which means that even though he might desire to appoint far more people, he has to bring it down to the number of persons that are required to do the job that is at hand. And then other persons who may have helped you find other ways in government to pay his IOUs.
Do you really think the president has broken his promise that he would appoint a government of national competence, quote and unquote, that he would not yield to considerations outside ability and performance?
Well, this is where the tire meets the road. I'm sure that all of those things he has said, he meant well when he said them. But where the tire meets the road is where you have to make the hard choices. If you look at the cabinet of 48 that he has appointed, I believe that there are a number of persons in that cabinet who meet, reasonable definition of competence or capacity. But there are quite a number also whose appointments have justifiably raised concerns.
Do you want to give some examples?
Oh, well, no, I will not want to. I will not want to mention names, but I think the sense is that because people expected, he had made certain specific promises in areas of security, in areas of the economy, and also in areas of power. So I guess that one of the major things that people were expecting was to find in the cabinet persons who will clearly be able to deliver for him in those specific areas. I'm sure that the reason why people feel underwhelmed is not too far from the fact that it's wide off the mark in certain areas.
There are also people who think the presidency is too political. The secretary to the government of the federation, for instance, has been a career politician from 1999, and the same with the chief of staff to the president. Do you think this portends well, this bodes well for the presidency in terms of effectiveness and efficiency?
Well, let me say that it is not a crime to be a politician, and being a politician and being able to perform are not mutually exclusive. So you can be a politician and still be able to perform. But in regard to the specific positions that you have mentioned, the position of the chief of staff and the position of the secretary the secretary to the government of the federation. Well, the president, let me also concede that, has the prerogative to appoint and to make his cabinet. But if you ask me, these would appear to be offices that are best suited for people who operate quietly, who are, if you like, technocrats. I'm not saying it's a crime, If you go back to, I don't know how many people who remember who the chief of staff to Obasanjo, the first chief of staff was. Not many people would remember. General Abdullahi was his. You would never see him, but he was in the back room doing all the job that needed to be done. And I think we've also had a number of secretaries to the government of the federation who have put their heads down and gotten the job done as quietly. I'm not. The problem with politicians, once you put them into office, a number of them, not all of them, is that they also feel obliged to pay certain IOUs, and there's never an end to it.
And I have this gut feeling that from your reference to the Obasanjo era, a lot of Tinubu's ministers may just be placeholders in the interim. Do you share this view?
No, I hope not. I do not know. I think that's a more appropriate answer, whether he has appointed them as placeholders or not. But I suspect, and this is just purely suspicion, that because of the IOUs which you talked about initially, he's been obliged both out of a sense of indulging those IOUs and also out of pressures from forces within the villa. Obviously, he obviously has appointed more ministers than Nigerians really expected, given the circumstances that we are faced with. So I am not sure, if this number of persons he has appointed are going to last for the next 4 years with him, or if it's going to make changes. But it is in his interest, I hope, that sooner than later, the same way Obasanjo did. Obasanjo, within the first 6 months of his appointment, had done his first shot, and then by the time he was second year in office, he had done the second. And by the time he started in 2003, he had a clean slate, which we all praise today as probably one of the best collections of ministers we have.
Okay. For the first time since 1999, there is no retired military officer, no ex-general in the Federal Executive Council. Do you think this is an oversight, considering the security challenges facing Nigeria and the West African sub-region?
I do not know, but I doubt it, because it's not as if Nigeria is in short supply of retired generals if President Tinubu wanted them. But he has made his choice, and that's okay. Also, keep in mind that we are under a civilian government. And ultimately, my suspicion is that the Minister of Defense, to whom the service chiefs will answer, will be a civilian, so who will be able to coordinate and have a voice in cabinet amongst those he has appointed. And we also have an NSA whose job is to coordinate the different security agencies, which is the fundamental function of the NSA's office, who also is coming from the police background. He retired as a police officer, worked as chairman, and distinguished himself as chairman of the EFCC and so forth and so on. There's no doubt that the security challenges in the country and around the sub-region will call for. But I think that the president will also be able to harvest the experience and knowledge of persons outside cabinet to solve some of these problems, if that becomes necessary.
And finally, why did you why did you in your column refer to Abuja as the graveyard of
as the
good
graveyard
intentions?
of good intentions. I once, in fact, many years ago, I once also referred to Abuja, and I do not mean it in a derogatory sense. I think I mean it more in the sense of frustration. You know, I once, as I said, referred to Abuja as the refuge of scoundrels. I think if you go back, and you can go as far back as you wish, and find people who have come into office with very good intentions about what they intend to do. But no sooner had they settled down than they either became overwhelmed by pressure or allowed themselves to be overwhelmed by pressure. And I think it's in that sense. And I'm just hoping that that has not been the case with President Tinubu. But as I also said in the paragraph following that, I think that there's also I used it also in a nuanced sense, because where the tire meets the road, that is where decisions get taken.
All right, that is where we land on this episode of Conversation with Azu. The full text of this article we've been discussing, among other engagements by Azu, can be found on the site azuishiekwene.com. May I remind you that Conversation with Azu is about the most syndicated newspaper column of any Nigerian writer, primarily in Leadership and Vanguard newspapers, every Friday. Visit our media interfaces on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I refer to it as Twitter because I've not gotten used to X.
Yeah.
Like, comment, and above all, don't forget to share. Thanks for deepening the conversation.
Well, I hope Elon Musk will hear what you have just said. Thank you for having me.
Bye for now.
All right, cheers.